Friends, today's discussion is on the topic external and internal borrowings. Firstly, we would like to discuss what is the need for borrowing. The answer is very simple. When government's expenditures exceed government's income sources, to meet these extra expenditures for which you do not have sufficient income, you have to borrow. Now, let us discuss first what are the sources of revenue to the state. The sources of revenue to the state are of two types: internal sources of revenue and external sources of revenue. Internal sources of revenue are also of two types: tax revenue and non-tax revenue. All direct taxes and indirect taxes are source of tax revenue. Direct taxes like income tax, corporate income tax, excise duty, customs duty, wealth tax, estate duty, which are paid by the person on whom they are levied, and the incidence also lies on the same person, are termed as direct taxes. The indirect taxes are the ones which are levied on somebody else but paid by somebody else. So, there is a possibility of shift of tax. In this case, it can be a forward shift, it can be a backward shift. Service taxes, sales tax, now modified or would be modified as value added tax, entertainment tax are the examples of indirect taxes. So, this is what is one source of revenue to the state. It is known as tax revenue. Then there is another source which is known as non-tax revenue. Under this category, the surpluses earned by public sector undertakings. So, if public sector earn profits, it is the revenue to the state. If government undertakes disinvestment, the disinvestment proceeds which government earns by divesting or disinvesting its assets is non-tax revenue. Similarly, fines, penalties and unclaimed properties are also source of non-tax revenue. Small savings, public borrowings, deficit financing, they are all part of non-tax revenue. Many a time government might have invested in certain enterprises, so dividends earned are also termed as sources of non-tax revenue. So, this tax revenue and non-tax revenue are internal sources of revenue. There is one more way of categorizing government revenue, that is revenue receipts and capital receipts. Revenue receipts are those receipts which do not create any liability for the government. For example, taxes, they do not create any liability for the government. So, they are revenue receipts, and these revenue receipts are incurring and reoccurring in nature and are received at regular intervals, while capital receipts are the receipts which create liability. So, disinvestment proceeds or borrowings are termed as capital receipts because they create liability for the government. So, this is how we talk about revenue of the state through internal sources, where from each rupee comes. The other side of this is external revenue. External borrowings or external debts, FDIs, FIIs, FDIs I mean foreign direct investments, which can be in the form of multinational corporation investments also, foreign institutional investments, export surpluses, they are all external revenue sources. So, why we need borrowing? We need borrowing because if government's known sources of revenue exceed known heads of expenditure, government cannot sit idle hand on hand. Government will have to generate additional resources, and borrowings are one such resource. Of course, deficit financing, which is very important resource, is also a very well talked resource generation source, but we will confine ourselves to borrowings. Now, these borrowings are internal borrowings or they are external borrowings. Internal borrowings known as internal debts, external borrowings known as external debts. Let us discuss internal borrowings first. Let us discuss sources of internal debt. Current market loans, wage and advances, bonds sold by the government, treasury bills, securities, provident fund accounts are the important sources of internal borrowings, because they have to be repaid to the people who have invested in government securities, who have invested in public sector bonds, who have invested in government securities, and they have to be paid with interest. When it comes to external borrowings are also of various types, like intergovernmental loans. Russian government helping Indian government, American government helping Indian government, Indian government helping Nepalese government, or Indian government helping Malay's government. These are known as intergovernmental loans. Then you also have institutional loans. There are world institutions like World Bank, International Monetary Fund, Asian Development Bank, International Finance Corporation. They also help member countries in terms of their financial crisis. So if India is a member to these world institutions, India has access to loans subject to the condition of its quota from these world institutions. There are also times when foreign investors may also advance loans to the government, like Ford Foundation may support certain governmental project and may provide finance to Indian government. So this is what is external borrowing in nutshell. After having discussed the sources of borrowing, let us now discuss why the scenario is such that public expenditure is on the rise while sources of revenue are not catching up with rising public expenditure. There is a law in economics known as Wagner's law of increasing activity of state. You have looked at the concept of welfare state also, I hope. Earlier the concept of state was of police state. So state had limited function. State was to provide security to the nationals from external aggression and was supposed to maintain law and order within the state. They were the only functions of the state. Now after the concept of welfare state has become popular worldwide and governments call themselves as welfare governments, the state activities have expanded manifold, from providing basic amenities like food, shelter, clothing, transport, basic health, education, sanitation. Everywhere you will find interference of the state. The vulnerable sections of the society look forward to the state whenever they are in crisis. Look at agricultural farmers. If they lose their crop, they want help from the state. Look at industrialists. Look at small scale entrepreneurs. Everybody is looking forward to the state. When I move out of my house and if my leg goes in a pothole, I blame the government. What government is doing? So indirectly what I am trying to say is the expectations of the people from the state have widened horribly, and state has to function. Especially in democracies, the states have to meet all expectations of the masses. And whenever there is a mismatch between expectations and realizations, there is frustration which leads to change in governmental setup. So this is one reason why governments are taking proactive role and trying to burn their fingers in many spheres where they need not actually at times. Please tell me why a government should run a hotel when a government does not know how to run a hotel. But government has expanded its activities into hotel sector also, because government feels that it has to be all pervasive, omnipresent, omniscient and omnipotent. The other reason is there are times which we call market failures. During market failures, when market is not in a position to provide goods to the masses, government has to intervene. The Keynesian economics has also suggested that government has to intervene as an anti-depressant investor also. Whenever there is shortage of aggregate demand, you have read aggregate demand is C plus I plus G, and to raise aggregate demand, it is suggested by Keynesian economics that you have to increase investment expenditure, and especially public investment expenditure, because it is not always linked to profitability. Private sector is always linked to profitability. It might not come forward, especially when depression is existing. So government has to come forward and be proactive agent to ease out anti-depression measures. It has to undertake, it has to ease out the conditions which have been created by depression. So public expenditures are rising because of these reasons. Now the advantages of borrowings to meet public expenditure, which is always on the rise, is that it eases resource constraint in the hands of the state. So whenever you need more revenue, you have to beg and borrow. It also meets the need of foreign exchange, especially external borrowings, because in the international market you have to pay for your imports in terms of hard currencies. Say you have to pay in terms of dollars or yens or ruble or euro. So you have to earn, and if you borrow from external market source, it will meet the need for foreign exchange resource. So this is why we say that borrowings, both internal and external, will ease resource constraints in the hand of state. The advantage of borrowing is it can be used for industrial development. Look at Indian scenario: steel industry, power industry, transport industry, telecommunication, fertilizers. These dams like Hirakud Dam, Damodar Valley Corporation, they have all been developed and established with the help of foreign loans. Look at NTPC super thermal power projects, which are coal-based projects. None of their super thermal power plant could have been established had Russia not given help and loans to Indian government. Similarly, look at steel, Bokaro steel plant, Rourkela, Bhadravati. They have all been developed through external helps and loans. So what I am saying is, it's not only infrastructure but industrial development is a result of external borrowing. And it's not only India. If you look at the rest of the world, even the so-called developed countries of the world today, they have all in their initial stages of development taken loans, taken help, taken foreign direct investments from rest of the world. So we should also not be against taking help in terms of when it is needed and it is a must. But the problem is, are there any issues also which we have to take care when borrowing from any other source? You see, first thing what we have to look at is no loan is free. We have to repay the loan, we have to pay interest on these loans. We call it debt servicing burden, repayment of prime money and repayment of interest, that too timely. The interest doses have to be paid timely. So it puts extra pressure on developing countries' economies which are already finding it difficult to get additional resource, and especially if the debt servicing burden is in foreign currency, because not all the time you are paid rupee loans. Rupee loans are the loans which you have to repay in terms of Indian rupees. Most of the time friendly countries have provided us rupee loans. They pay us in foreign currency, hard currencies, dollars, yens, but when it comes to our repayment, we repay them in terms of rupees, which they might use for importing from India. So there the burden is less. But otherwise, if the repayment has to be in foreign exchange and the interest payment also has to be in foreign exchange, it's a heavy burden on a recipient country. Then most of the time it is also seen that the borrowings which we get are in the form of tied loans. Tied loans can be tied to particular projects. That means the debtor may put restrictions that this particular loan will be used for this particular purpose. So use is fixed. You cannot divert the use. So use based loans are given. Need based loans are not given. So if the loans are use based and they will decide for which they will provide loans, because we are at the receiving end, they are at the giving end, their collective bargaining power is strong, our collective bargaining power is weak. Always giver has a higher collective bargaining power than the receiver. So they may decide that for this particular purpose only we will provide loans, not for any other purpose, and you will have to use this for this particular purpose only. So this is known as loans tied to projects. Then there are also times when they also put other conditions, that is tied to countries. Tied to countries will mean we will advance you loans, but you will utilize these loans for imports from specific countries only. which may be their own friendly countries. Their foes we cannot import from them. So these are known as tied to countries. So a recipient country has no freedom to use the funds for imports from the cheapest market or from the suitable market. We have to import items from particular countries which they are suggesting. So if this is what is the scenario, external loans become very difficult to negotiate, and developing countries many of the time find themselves enslaved. There are instances when countries are on the verge of bankruptcy, because if you cannot repay the debt, you cannot repay the interest installments because of your own resource constraints, you may be declared insolvent, which is a very serious situation for a country. So when it comes to external borrowings, we have to be very, very cautious that, well, borrowings will provide extra finances to us, but there are issues attached to those finances also. Similarly, when it comes to issues of internal borrowings, the debt servicing burden is for internal borrowing also. All those investors who have invested in government securities, bonds, savings certificates, they would also like to be paid timely, and it increases government's liabilities. So many a time it has been seen that developing countries have to take extra loans to repay the old loans. So long term borrowing, and it is a debt trap with which the developing countries might face. So you are in a trap and it is very difficult to come out of it. So you have to be really careful about making use of this source as a source of revenue to the state. But overall, all countries, you will get a list. Please look at the list which is attached. This list is for 2014, which suggests that these are the countries which are the top borrowing countries of the world today. And it's not only India which is borrowing, many countries are borrowing. But yes, we have to be little bit careful, and it will all depend upon governance, what type of governance and what is the quality of governance you have. And this is a tool, economic tool, which can be used for both your own benefit or for your own loss. Like we say, a person is given an axe, so a person can clear the forest, make it cultivable and show crops on it, or if the fellow does not make use properly, may cut his own foot also. So the instrument is not to be blamed, it is the user which is to be blamed. So same I would apply in case of borrowing. Borrowing is a tool which has to be used very, very judiciously. I hope you understand this.